It's moving on. Okay, so the early 19th century view on Indian cosmology is one that we are all familiar with, what Macaulay wrote in his grave, where he said that astronomy, which would move after in girls at English boarding school, geography made of seas of treacle and seas of butter. But Macaulay was not the only person who was talking about Indian astronomical tradition at that time. There was Lancelot Wilkinson, who was the British agent near Bhopal at Lahore. And he had expressed a slightly different view. He wrote an article called On the Use of Siddhāntas in the Work of Native Education. So according to Wilkinson, the people whom he saw were of three classes: Jains, the followers of Brahminical or Purāṇical system, and the Jyotishis or followers of the Siddhāntas. And he said the Jains have some strange idea. They maintain that Earth is flat, plane of immense extent. Earth now is and has been falling downwards in space. This I think more a Buddhist theory. That there are two suns, two moons, and two sets of corresponding planets and constellations. The moon, they believe, is to be about the sun. And the followers of Purāṇas believe in a system very little different from that of the Jains. They also maintain that the Earth is a circular plane, having the golden mountain Meru in the center, that is 50 crores of yojanas in superficial diameter. The Jambudvipa, immediately surrounding Meru and which we inhabit, is 1 lakh yojanas in width. That this Dvipa is surrounded by a sea of salt water, also 1 lakh of yojanas width, etc. The Purāṇas assert that the Earth is not falling in space, but is supported by Shesha. Purāṇas maintain that there is but one moon and one sun, but the moon, however, is at a distance from the Earth which is double that of the sun. That the sun and the moon and the constellations resolve horizontally over the plane of the Earth, appearing to set when they go behind Meru and to rise when they emerge from behind that mountain. That the eclipses are formed by the monsters Rahu and Ketu playing hold of sun or moon. The followers of Purāṇas are by far the most numerous of the three classes. Final are the astronomers. The Siddhāntas believe in a system widely differing from both the above. That system is, with exception of few inconsiderable differences, that of Ptolemy. The authors of Siddhāntas, especially Bhaskaracharya, the author of Siddhāntasundara, has spared no pains to expose and ridicule the monstrous absurdities of the Jain Sutras and the Purāṇas. They have always professed in their writing the greatest admiration for the learned men of the West, the Ionians or the Yavanas. This based upon just one verse that Rahamira wrote in the Samhita, Yavanas to Mlechahi Yavanas Desham, Samyak Shastramidam Stitam, Rishivat Pepi Pujyante, Kim Brahmana Vijapa. Anyway, Wilkinson, again, is not moving.
That's not.
Oh, it has come. Okay. So it's taking some time there. Wilkinson also explained why he is wanting to introduce the Indian astronomical Siddhāntas in native education. The debate at that time, 1834-35, was on how to introduce a new system of education in India. And the main thing he was saying, but I feel assured from experience. No, you may ask me that why are you talking about these Siddhāntas? Colebrook, Bentley, Davis have all analyzed them. What is it going to tell us newly about astronomy? What is contained in these Siddhāntas? The answer is that I feel assured from experience that they afford us beyond all comparison the best means of promoting the cause of education, civilization, and truth. I mean, all these three are very loaded terms. You will have to understand what they mean amongst our Hindu subjects. So he was very plain about what he wanted to do. And then people said that even if you want to teach them the truth of the gospel, or of modern science, why go back 1,000 years in search of truth, avowedly containing some admixture of error, when the pure and unadulterated truth is at hand? To them, I reply that that kind of unadulterated truth cannot be easily communicated to the Indians. They believe more in the authority of their Siddhantas. So it is through the Siddhantas that we have to convey to them modern. Of course, it's another story. This was what was called the Orientalist plan of education as opposed to the Anglicist plan of education that Macaulay propagated. It's another story that this strategy was not accepted by the administrators when the policy to introduce a new system of education came in. Anyway, so now much water has flown since then. There has been some recent interest in the Purāṇic cosmology and Siddhāntic cosmology. A recent trend started with an article of David Pingree, one of the important modern historians of science. And he tried to explain that, of course, he holds the view that both Purāṇic and the Jyotiḥśāstra cosmology owe their origin to Babylonian and Greek ideas. This is one of his favorite ideas. And after explaining that, he will explain the Vaidama Siddhanta, the key Jyotiḥśāstra text, which contains both the ideas, the basic ideas of Siddhāntic astronomy. Then he has also argued that a movement to reconcile the cosmology of the astronomers with that of the Purāṇas began in the 17th century, perhaps in an attempt among Indian intellectuals to close the ranks against the perceived threat to their traditions posed by Islamic and European astronomy, that a new class of texts arose in India in 16th, 17th century, where people try to again justify what is said in Purāṇas and also base it on the astronomical text also. This was taken forward by Minkowski, who looked actually at many of those texts written in 16th and 17th and 18th century, which were of interest to him. And these are the main points Minkowski is making. The cosmological account found in Sanskrit astronomical Siddhāntas was in fundamental respects not reconcilable with the Purāṇic model of the earth and the heavens. And it was Āryabhaṭīya in the early 9th century who formulated what we now call the standard view of the problem. And that was repeated by all the influential Siddhāntas of Sripati and Bhaskara in 11th and 12th century, which rejected those parts of Purāṇic model that contradicted any of the aspects of the Siddhāntic model that were employed in their calculations. At the same time, Lalla sought to accommodate this cosmology to Purāṇic doctrines where they did not interfere with the astronomical calculations. I'll explain some of this later, what all this means. Then Minkowski found one author from Parthavara. This is in the Godavari banks in Maharashtra. This Parthavara school was founded by one Jñānarāja with an expert Siddhāntasundara in 1503. And this and his son's commentary and his another son's explanation, they display a greater concern for the authority of the Vedas and more so to the Purāṇas, and initiated a movement to revise the interpretation of the Purāṇic statements or reconcile them in other ways in the Siddhāntic picture. So, Lalacharya first said that we will remove from our discussion most aspects of Purāṇic model that contradict Siddhāntic astronomy and retain some of the others, according to Minkowski. And again, Minkowski is saying that these people in 16th century started a movement to take a real look at Purāṇas, reinterpret those statements, or find other ways to make them become consistent with the Siddhāntic picture. So in this work of Suryadasa, the son of Jñānarāja, Suryadasa is more better known today as an author of a commentary on Vijayapita. So this Jyotiḥśāstra Purāṇa Virodha Parihara is one of the sections. And this Virodha Parihara became a topic of discussion. In 17th century, there were from Deccan a great migration of astronomers, mostly from Maharashtra and Gujarat, to Varanasi. There were two main families, one coming from Godagrama, one coming from Dhatigrama. And Nrisimhadevarya and Munishwara, descendants of the two, both of them have commented on Bhaskaracharya's Siddhānta Shiromani. They looked at Jñānarāja and the works of Parthavara school They discussed it and they more or less rejected most of the things that were said by them. But in 17th, later half of 17th and much of 18th century, a host of other scholars, Nīlakaṇṭha Somayājī, Keval Rama, Shankara Mallimaya, Āryabhaṭīya, and others, more are mentioned in Minkowski's article, who took this Virodha Parihara issue seriously. But most of these authors were really not specialists in Siddhāntic astronomy. And in 19th century, after the British started to introduce the Copernican system, there was again quite a bit of writing. And there was one Subba Bapuji in Maharashtra who wrote a Siddhāntasundara Prakasha. He was a protege of Wilkinson. Then there were other scholars. One Yageshwara wrote an Avirodha Prakasha against that, and Bapuji again retorted. So this debate of Avirodha continued in 19th century, taking into account modern astronomical theories also. Now, according to Minkowski, there can be no doubt that Indian astronomers in every period felt pressure in varying degrees to make their science acceptable to doctrines found in Quran and in other religious literature. In the early modern period, this pressure appears to have significantly increased. The appeal to layers of truth, that is something like Vyavaharika Satya, Pāramārthika Satya kind of mode of accounting for intellectual difference turns up in many of our authors of this period, in more or less limited roles. It could be explained as a failure of Indian knowledge systems to adapt by hampering the ability of them to attain to the new scientific models that might have become available to them, either from the Islamic tradition or from the European tradition. Now, this work of Pingree, the 19th century work was summarized by a man called Robert Fox Young, and the work of Minkowski has been summarized by Tim Plofker, who is more well known to Indian scholars of history of science. In an article called Derivation and Revelation, the legitimacy of mathematical models in Indian cosmology. Her main contention is that this legitimacy was undermined by what she calls as the epistemological labyrinth to which Siddhāntic astronomers had descended. So how does she characterize this epistemological labyrinth? So main points she's making is the following. It turns out that instead of simply defying the revealed truth for the honor of mathematical consistency, Siddhanta authors were often trying to have the best of both the worlds, relying on their measurable and calculable universe while still availing themselves at the need of Purāṇic authority. This was already indicated in the early inspiration of using features of Purāṇic universe to fill in the gaps, literally and figuratively, in the geography or mechanics of Siddhāntic. This is reference to Dada. The mathematical models that Indian astronomy inherited and defined were legitimated by a wealth of different criteria that must have seemed startlingly incongruous to a 19th century Englishman, as indeed they had also done to a 11th century Muslim. The reference is to Al-Biruni. The validity of these models was variously claimed by the text to be confirmed not only by internal consistency and agreement with observed phenomena. This is how science should be according to us, but by numerical elegance and symmetry, agreement with cosmological premises and sacred texts, conformity to earlier Siddhantas which might be considered on par with sacred texts themselves, and the ultimate argument, some Latin word here, ascription to direct divine authorship. So this has been the kind of debate which is going on. I'm not calling upon all of us to participate in this, but we should be aware of the kind of scholarship that is going to come. Many more of these texts will be sort of unearthed and edited and published, and more contradictions and more problems in Indian approach to science will be sort of explained. So, what was the Indian approach to science? So, for that, you have to know Indian epistemology. So, basically, the theory of knowledge is founded on the theory of Purāṇas, which is common to all students of philosophy. Javakas who are often hailed mostly by Indian leftists as scientific materialists They are the skeptics who recognize only perception or observation as valid means of knowledge. Various schools of Buddhism and Vaisheshika recognize Anumana or inference also as a means of knowledge. The Jaina, Sankhya, Yoga, and some schools of Vedanta, such as Vishishta, Veda, Dvaita, recognize authoritative texts or authoritative statements of scholars, Shabda or Agama, verbal testimony of a reliable person, also as a valid means of knowledge. But Buddhas and Vaisheshikas also recognize this, but they take it as a part of Anumana. The Jnana school, which is well known as the main school of epistemology in Indian philosophy, this has Pratyaksha, Anumana, Upamana, and Shraddha. And some schools of Vedanta and Purva Mimamsa also have Arthapati and Anupalam. Okay. But mostly, as concerns us, Pratyaksha, Anumana, and Agama are the three sources of valid knowledge. But what is very crucial about Indian epistemology, one is a very detailed analysis of Shabda or Agama as a source of valid knowledge. We normally only say what is reasonable or what is observed, and not what is authoritatively stated, because saying something is authoritatively stated is almost considered opposite of scientific temper, which is supposed to question everything. Most of science is accepting what is given in authoritative text, questioning some small part of it and adding something to it. So this detailed analysis of Shabda Pramana, the important role of authoritative text is what Indian epistemologists have done in great detail. But there is a hierarchy amongst the Pramanas in Indian tradition. That this reason cannot contradict Pratyaksha or Agama. And this is there in the first basic text of Nyaya-shastra, the commentary of Vatsyayana on Nyaya Sutra. Basically, yat punar anumanam Pratyaksha Agama viruddham saha Āryabhaṭīya. So, an anumana which is opposite to what is seen or what is in text is generally Āryabhaṭīya. Of course, if you think that there is some problem with the text, you can think about it, but this is the general position. And this is generally practiced in Indian science. I am giving an example from Sushruta Samhita. Nowadays, there is a lot of debate on its date. But anyway, generally, most of Indian scholars believe this is prior to 300, 400 before the Common Era. So here is a verse which is talking about a medicine which is in the Ambashta group. Even if you give thousands of arguments, you cannot make them do the act of purgation, because the action of the Ambashta group of drugs is very well established both by experience and by traditional texts. And traditional texts are supposed to be based upon the detailed experience of generations. So this Pratyaksha Lakshana Palaha, the Siddhāntas Svabhavataha, Naushadhi Hetubil Vidwan Parikshita, the drugs which are established by the direct action and which are also whose properties are very well known through tradition, one should not go on arguing about their effects. The next thing is that Agama cannot contradict Pratyaksha. And this is said even in philosophical texts, like for instance in Vachaspati Mishra's commentary on Brahma-sūtra-bhāṣya, when Agamaha Sahasramati Ghatam Pataitu Ishate, that you cannot make a Ghataya Pata by quoting thousands of texts. And again in medical tradition also it is very common, Āryabhaṭīya Samhita says, that if you keep finding that a drug which is quoted to be belonging to some Gana and is supposed to cure some disease in the text, but that is not curing, you should stop using it. And if you find a drug which is effective, you should include it into that Gana. So now we can come to the main issue that I wanted to discuss. Already I have taken, I think, about 20 minutes of my time. So now we come to the issue. Now, Āryabhaṭīya was written in 499, and it's a very brief text. 32 verses describe the mathematics. Then about the 25 verses of Kala Kriya Hara, which is the main portion we discussed. It is Kala Kriya, the Kriya that you have to do to find Kala. The Jyotiḥśāstra itself is said to be Kala Vidhana Shastra. And so this time, direction and place are to be found by observing the motion of the celestial bodies. So that's how astronomy becomes a science of Kala, but analyzing the motion of celestial bodies. So I am looking at only those parts of our text which are talking something about those issues in cosmology where the cosmology of what they are stating and cosmology of what the Purāṇas or other traditional texts or other traditions are stating are supposed to be in contradiction. So what do they say on that in texts of Siddhāntic astronomy? How do they argue about it? These are the kind of topics. This is what I will be dealing with. The Āryabhaṭīya Pada, first Āryabhaṭīya is giving two verses where he is saying that the earth is at the center of the universe, and then he is giving the sequence in which all these planets, 5 planets, then moon and sun are seen, and the stars. And this verse obviously goes against what was said to be the Purāṇic or the traditional view that moon is above the sun. So without going into any argument, Āryabhaṭīya is just stating this. Bhāna Madaha Shanishkara Suraguru Bhauma Arka Shukra Buddha Chandraha Eshamadasya Bhumi. So Bhar means Nakshatra, then the Saturn, then Suraguru Jupiter, then Mars, then Sun, then Venus, then Buddha, then Moon, then Earth. So this is the order of planets which have been accepted in India from the time of Āryabhaṭīya. And in Western astronomy, roughly from the Greek astronomy, roughly from the time of Ptolemy. It was different at the time of Plato and Aristotle. Now, how this is argued?
Planetary distance.
This is the order in which they are located. So now, how is this argued? So the argument is given in the commentary of, we do not have an earlier commentary of Āryabhaṭīya. This is of 629 in Bhaskara-bhāṣya. So the arguments are very standard. They are given in any book. I will not be able to discuss these arguments, but you can just see the kind of argument I will indicate. Nanucha Anya Bruvati. So he is not talking of Purāṇas 760. Others are taking like this. Sarvesham Upati Chandramasa Kakshye. So moon's orbit is above that of sun. Tadanitam. Sarvesham Grahana Madha Chandra Kakshya Ityaha. So यदि उपरि स्यात् तदा चंद्रस्य ग्रह नक्षत्र भेदे स्फुट कलंकः धरिणे ग्रह नक्षत्र द्वारा दृश्यते. So if moon is quite above, then even the other planets crossing the moon in occultation you will be seeing its effect. सूर्यवशात् यदि उपरि चंद्र स्यात् तदा सूर्यनारात् व्यवस्थितेन सदा चंद्रमसोऽपि स्वस्यारात् भागम् अखण्डं दृश्येत. So these spaces will not be seen. Whole of moon will be seen most of the time. So because of this, we cannot take up this view. And now he says, Anye Punaha Sugata Matavalamina. Now he is referring to the Jains. Initially he said Anye. Now he said Sugata Matavalamina. Surya Chandra Masoho Ekam Kakshya Market. They say they are in the same orbit. So he is quoting a Jaina verse. Then Naivam Yujete. Then he is giving again an argument that this will not be true. And the eclipses will not happen if this is so. So this is the kind of argument Bhaskara is giving, that this is contradicting known observation, or if this were true, other things will have to happen, which we do not see. And there is no further argument. He is not saying everything that the Jainas are saying is wrong or right or whatever. He is just taking this issue and giving his view on this. Similarly, in Gaudapada, Āryabhaṭīya is saying, Vritta Bhavan Jalamadhye Kaksha Priveshitaha Kamadhyagataha Mridjalashiki Vayumayo Bhugolha Sarvatoha. The earth is a sphere. Whereas one of the Purāṇic and other views is said to be earth is like a flat disc. So again they are arguing Kamadhyagataha, etc. And what first he is trying to argue that Bhumadhya Sthitaha, because there is this view that earth is falling in some of the older texts. And the other question, the question arises, if everything falls on the earth, why is earth itself not falling? So for that, various arguments are given. Bhu dharnatmika ta dharyamanatmika. Earth is what which holds. It is not held by anything else. And if it starts falling down, what is meant by down? Down and up are related to the surface of earth only. Then again it comes to the other kind of article which you will have seen in Bhaskara. Some people say that the Shesha is holding the earth. even that is not all right. Because if Shesha has to hold the earth, then who holds the Shesha? And so there will be what is called anavastha, or infinite regress. That for each thing which holds the other, something else has to hold it. So these are the kind of arguments. And again, he is again giving other arguments to show why the earth should be a sphere. So this is the way it is argued in the one of the oldest Siddhāntic astronomy texts and its commentary. And this is Āryabhaṭīya's verse. Yada Kadamba Pushpa Dhanti Rachitha Samantatha Kusumayī, like a Kadamba Pushpa. This is how the earth is a sphere. Then somewhere in another issue, Āryabhaṭīya is quoting this verse, which is perhaps he is not saying whose verse it is. This is similar to the verse that Āryabhaṭīya quotes, that the arenas were in the Ashleša and Dhanishta. And then he says that that is not so. This statement of Shruti Smrityo Punah Bhede Yaja Smriti Pratyaksha Viruddha Saparidruhyate. And so we have to accept what is currently seen. And what is currently seen is Karkatadav and Makaradav. So the ayana happens in Karkata and Makara and not in Shravishta, Ashleša and Dhanishta, which is what is given in Vedanta Jyotiḥśāstra and what is cited by Mahamira also. So basically the point is expressing the importance of Pratyaksha about the given text. Of course, there can be further argument at that time it was true, therefore there is a movement of ayana and all that. He is not going into that. He is going into that and rejecting the movement of ayana, but that is his view. Then another thing, whenever there are complicated issues about the theoretical model that you are taking, what is the kind of justifications in the end? Wherever justification can be given, they give justification. Here is one question. So this Bhaganas of the moon's Ucha is given in Āryabhaṭīya. So he says, Sheshvucha Devo Bhenga Lakshante, Tesham Katham Bhagana Bhavati. The apogee of moon is not seen, it's not a physical body. So how does one write its revolution numbers, etc.? So now he sort of uses that to say that this is only a theoretical model. This is a hypothesis that is being made. And such hypotheses are made in all subjects. In the Vyakarana Shastra, Prakriti Pratyaya Loka Agama Varna Vikarāditi, Upayayi Sadhu Shabda Asadhyate, Evamatrapi, just as in the science of Vyakarana, you have all these theoretical concepts through which you derive all the variables. And he quotes Bhartrhari's very famous statement, Upadayati Kamupaya Prashishte. So this planetary model that we are talking about is an upaya. It is a means of arriving or calculating the motion of planet. Every aspect of it cannot be immediately ascribed to an element of reality. There may be many aspects of it which we can do, many aspects which we may not be able to do. And later in Āryabhaṭīya and Āryabhaṭīya, he again explains the same point in much greater detail. Ucca Nicha Madhyama Paridiyo Evamadi Sputagati Sadhavamopaya Purāṇamcha Upayanam Naiva Niyamo Uktiva Vidyate. Niyama means there is nothing unique about them. There is no limitation that you can make on a model that you are making to explain a set of phenomena, except that it should explain the given set of phenomena. That is the only requirement. So these are very forcefully said about 2-3 times in this text. Then there is this Someshvara-bhāṣya, because Bhaskara-bhāṣya stopped in the beginning of Gaudapada somewhere. For the later issues, they have published it with the Someshvara-bhāṣya, but Someshvara says in the end of his bhāṣya that he is actually summarizing Acharya Āryabhaṭa. He said Bhaskara somewhere comes. Bhaskara I cannot read it from here. The Bhaskara's commentary and summarizing. And so when this Meru Yojana Matra Prabhakaro Vimavatam Parikshita, Āryabhaṭa says Meru is only 1 Yojana, whereas in Purāṇas Meru is 84,000 Yojana. Āryabhaṭa doesn't give any argument. Now Someshvara is saying, Ata Purāṇika, since Someshvara is around 1100, he is using the word Purāṇika. This doesn't occur in Bhaskara-bhāṣya, for instance. Lakshya Yojana Pramano Meru Patyate, tad Yukti Rahitam. Ata Bhūdeva Mahapramana Parikalpyate, तदयुक्तं यत् सपञ्चाशत्सहस्रं योजनानां उपवास मान अक्षोन्नति प्रसादितं तत् स उपपत्तिकं for that ग्रहोदय अस्तमय मध्याह्न छाया अवनति लंबनादिभिः सिद्धं उत्सृज्य किम अन्यत् उपलभ्यते. What we have calculated and observed about the rising and setting of planet, the shadows, all these are calculated with the dimension of the earth as 5,000 yojanas as given in the Āryabhaṭīya school, 3,500 in one school and another. And so there is no need. Whatever these are given, these are ayukta. And Āryabhaṭīya just says that the Chalaka, the one which causes eclipses, it is Earth's shadow and the moon for the lunar eclipse and solar eclipse respectively. There is no argument on that. This is just stated. And in the end, Āryabhaṭīya says in his book that all this have to be examined, and the way of examination is by observing the planets and the sun and the moon in various conjunctions, in various times. Shiti Ravi Yoga Tadinat, Ravi Yoga Tasadita Charinduku, Chashi Taraka Yoga Tatina, Taraka Sade, all this have to be calculated. Again, not moving. So, Siddhāntica is a text which was written about 400 years. That also again talking about similar issues. It doesn't have a commentary, unfortunately. For other works of Purāṇa, we have wonderful commentaries of Bhattotpala. If that were available for this text, lot of debates on ancient Indian astronomy would have been very easily settled by now. And on the cause of eclipses, on the sequence of planets and things like that, on the nature of the earth, again, yes, the Siddhāntic model. Brahmagupta, the great mathematician and astronomer, who wrote his book in 628. So first he criticizes in chapter 11 that there are two suns and two moons, this what is called the Jaina view. But in that chapter, much of that chapter, criticism of Vasishtha, Romaka, Srisena, Lata, Vishnu Chandra, Pradyumna, Simha, Vijayavardhana, most of their works are not available, apart from Āryabhaṭīya. But most of the inconsistencies he's talking about, they are using different set of rotations, planetary parameters, and etc. He's not talking of cosmological differences. And he says these different parameters do not give us Srishti Ganitaikyam, that whatever Āryabhaṭīya has used, whatever Srisena has used, etc., are not agreeing with observation. But then in chapter 21 in Goladhyaya, Brahmagupta does consider some of the issues of cosmology, and this has a commentary by Pruthudaka. And the main thing is, in the beginning of the commentary itself, Pruthudaka says there are various issues which will be sort of contradicted or corrected by the treatment given in Goladhyaya. Ūra Vipratipanna Bhuvana Kosha Vido Anyatha Sarvaveva Vyavarnenti. People who do not understand the true nature of the earth, they explain everything by different ways. Bhumeya Mahapramanatvam, Darpanodara Kalakancha Katinti, Veroshka Mahapramanatvam, Shava Kalakancha, Tat Prishthasakto Dhuvashta Grahakcha Prancha, Avalamba Manani, Mero Radhovage Asmami, Uparistitani Vancha, Upadapani. All these kind of things they will say. Acharyana Uttam, this Ityadina Nikaranam iti, all these can be denied by studying the Goda. Acharyana Uttam, Tad Vidyanam Goda iti. Then he also says there will be some issues where there will be problem. Don't get confused by the fact that I am called Pruthudaka. He is called Chaturvedas Pruthudaka Swami. So he says, this is in the next one. Okay. Or he also says what Bhaskara had said in his commentary, that just as in Vyakarana, Prakriti, Pratyaya, Agama, Loka, Varna, Vikara, all these are used to derive the words which are valid. In the same way, in astronomy also, we use sign, Dhanu, Shara, Bhuja, Koti, Karna, and all other circles which come, which are part of geometry. Asatya Purvakaihi Satyam Grahabhramana Davitri Samsthanarikam Goratakam Tadipadye. That is, these are induced by us into the world. We cannot assert that they are actually there in the world. Using all these, we are going to see what we actually observe in that world. So this is a common theme that runs through different commentators. So in the again in the Āryabhaṭīya, in the beginning itself, the top in the Meru there are like the Devas, and in the bottom there are Daityas, and they what is up to them the down to the others. The Meru is not 84,000 yojana. So this is again contrary to what generally is said in Purāṇas. And then we will go na asmakam pramana bhagya praninyam yato vayam karmadhari samasavadvarin bhutam vayam chaturvedatva. Though I am a chaturvedacharya, I am not an expert in all this. Kevalam jyotiḥśāstra drishtya parikshatvam yuktimat ayuktimat vyakhyātam āgara. Meaning I am going truly by astronomical. The cause of eclipses, I mean, Brahmagupta discusses all the other things in the same way as Āryabhaṭīya. Only one thing is the issue is the cause of eclipses. So Brahmagupta first discusses what is the Siddhāntic, standard Siddhāntic view that eclipses are caused by Earth's shadow and the moon. And then he gives the reason for it that you cannot think of Rahu doing all this. And those reasons he writes. After having said that, he said these reasons are all given by Āryabhaṭīya and Purāṇika, but they are both loka-viruddha and shruti-viruddha. That this is contrary to what people all in widely believe, and this is also contrary to what is given in Shruti. He quotes the Svarbhanu Sutta and all that, and therefore ultimately concludes by giving an argument that Rahu can be of the same size as the Earth's shadow, and Rahu can be of the same size as the moon at the appropriate time. And therefore, at the time when the eclipse occurs, it's actually Rahu who comes and stands along with the Earth's shadow and causes the eclipse. Now we come to a very interesting text called Vaidāman Siddhānta. How much more time? Huh?
You can continue.
Okay. Now this Vaidāman Siddhānta, Pingree says this was the source of all Indian astronomy, in the sense that he puts this Vaidāman Siddhānta as given in Vishnudharmottara Purāṇa. This is generally dated to be around 550 or whatever by scholars before Pingree got into the game. But Pingree says this is around 400 450 of the Common Era, and all the Greco-Babylonian astronomy got into this. And it is through this, later on Āryabhaṭīya did the sine table, and through this Brahmagupta did the Brahmasutta Siddhānta. That is the view he started with. And he talks of only earlier texts are Vedanta Jyotiḥ and Jñānarāja. Now, I am not going into details of Vaidāman Siddhānta. The second kind of Vaidāman Siddhānta, the chapters 166 to 174, have a description of the cosmology and the Siddhāntic astronomy. It has everything in the way, more or less as given in Brahmagupta's Brahmasutta Siddhānta with the same parameters. It is also the method of calculating signs, which is similar to what is stated using the second order differences by Āryabhaṭīya and Surya Siddhānta. But what I don't see any scholar mentioning is the fact that right at the beginning of this Vishnudharmottara Purāṇa, the first kanda of Vishnudharmottara Purāṇa has 8 chapters, which are the complete Purāṇic cosmology and cosmography. So this Vishnudharmottara Purāṇa in the same text has the Siddhāntic astronomy and cosmology in the second kanda, and in the first kanda beginning, it has the Purāṇic astronomy and astrology in the first kanda. Oh. Now we come to Lalla. What Lalla did was, he took up these topics in the Siddhāntas as established by Āryabhaṭīya and by Brahmagupta, and compared them with what was then correct in 800 AD, though his side is not fully established, in other texts. And so he created a chapter where he said what is the Siddhāntic view and what is the view in other texts and why Siddhāntic view should be taken. So he has listed them And these are the things, Mithya Jnana. This word Mithya Jnana doesn't occur in the actual text. It is only in the colophons and things like that. It's not clear whether that was the word that he wanted to use. I'll show you the word he uses. Meru Sambandhi Mithya Jnana, Idrinam Chandra Darshanam, Grana Sambandhi Mithya Jnana, Ravera Chandra Nirupanam. So all these, the usual things which I already said. But before that, there is a chapter called Bhuvana Kosha. There, what he has done is what is called the Purāṇic cosmography or geography of the Sapta Samudras and the Sapta Dvipas with so many dimensions between them, etc. All that he has put it into the southern hemisphere and made that chart. Whatever is there in Puranas, he has taken, put them into the southern hemisphere. This is not there in Āryabhaṭīya, this is not there in Brahma-gupta, this is called the Goladhyaya of Lalla. So this is what he has done. And so he is calling Mithyagrama. Rativali Patamsi Shumato Manasi Bhranti Vavatistate Eva Madha Kuhetu Madvasanani Tatamam Ravinyam Ubhavati Mad Agama Tato Manasa Edekan. So then I did correct order. Now I jump to Siddhanta Shiromani. What Lalla had done is more or less followed in Shripati of 1050 AD. It's Siddhanta Shekhara, and it's followed by Bhaskaracharya and his Siddhanta Shiromani Goladhyaya. Bhaskaracharya is very important because he's writing a wonderful detailed comment so that you understand why he is saying whatever he is. Go around the sun and their object, their orbits do not include the Earth. This is the crucial difference between what is called heliocentric planetary motion and geocentric planetary motion. The planets Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, their orbits are outside of the orbit of the Earth. So they go around both the Sun and the Earth. Whereas Venus and Mercury, their orbit is inside the orbit of the Earth. They only go around the Sun. Earth is not included in their orbit. So in Āryabhaṭīyabhāṣya, this gives the most succinct description and justification, but even that we cannot discuss here, we will verify. But this is a very simple thing where he is saying Mercury is going around, is going up and down with respect to the ecliptic once in 88 days. That is, it is latitudinal period in 88 days. But it is seen to go around all the stars once in 365 days. That is, its longitudinal period is 365 days. So what is this? And then he says this is because their orbit encircles only the Sun and they are carried around the Earth by the Sun. And this is all the crucial heliocentric model of planetary astronomy, which is expressed without going into the fact that the Earth ought to move around the Sun because the Sun is the center of the universe, or the Sun ought to move around the Earth because Earth is. There is no such argument at all. This is all as we see, as we understand, as the astronomical theory says. And this year explained much more detail in what is called Grah Purāṇa and Vikshepa Vasana. So these are the three statements. Tayo, that is Buddha Shukla. Now communicate by their orbit, Earth is not encompassed. Tato Bhakideva Sada. Then Nīlakaṇṭha Somayājī wrote a work called Jyotiḥśāstra, the discussion of the epistemology of Jyotiḥśāstra. And that's a very important text. I just summarize in 2-3 sentences. So in this passage, only portion of this text has been available published by Experiential now. So in this text, we say we use Āryabhaṭa's book, we use those parameters, try to calculate 2 grahanas, and it did not agree with observation. How is this possible? You say Āryabhaṭa is tapobhi prasanno brahma Āryabhaṭāya gana parijārikam dharana sadhanabhutam sankhya visheshamupadichesha. Āryabhaṭa did tapas and Brahma told him the true parameters of planetary motion. How is this possible? Therefore, how can you question what Āryabhaṭa actually does? That's a Putta Parikshana. Brahmana Sarvajñātvad, Ragadvesharya Avitasattva Nishchayate, iti chet manda. This is, you have not understood science, you have not understood the word. Mayam, Devata Prasado, Mati Varipatya Rikureva, that he did it covers to get the clarity of intellect which enabled him to see Sadathat Samudra that will come. Not that Punah Brahma Āryabhaṭīya Swayameva Āryabhaṭīya, that I don't remember the best one. But Devata Prasado Mati Varipatya Rikureva is one of the most important statements here. This is at a time, or 50 years later, we see scientists in Europe saying, we have discovered the two laws by which God has created the universe. We have understood the mind of the divinity. What we will say, Parma Yogi Mangalisa, Parichedya Parupa Svabhava, Āryabhaṭīya Nivartante Aprapya Manasa. They claim at the origin of modern science, what we have discovered, the way God has created, those ultimate laws we have discovered. That is what Newton wrote, that is what Kepler wrote, that is what Descartes wrote. Okay. Another thing, important thing is that these Siddhāntas were all right at their time, but today they are not all right. But that is because things do change for whatever reason. But today you have to observe and find out the Siddhānta that is appropriate, which agrees, and that is the most important job. And so when you teach a student, don't teach him as if the theory is the finished product. You teach him also the method to check the theory, the method to improve the theory. So this pariksha is to be taught to the student. That is the most important thing. And he thinks Āryabhaṭīya is most important because he teaches pariksha. And then he quotes the Kaitri Aranyaka for the sources of Purāṇas, Smriti Pratyaksha Naitikam Anumanam Chatusayam, Ekari Aditya Mandalam. So all this is there. Earlier I think he has quoted here. Jyotiḥśāstra, Āryabhaṭīya, here, the Āryabhaṭīya he has quoted. So he is very well versed in all systems and philosophy. Now coming to what is his view on cosmology. Main thing he is saying is, as regard the orbits of the planets in the shape and nature of Earth, etc., the instruction of Jyotiḥśāstra, which are supported by various Purāṇas, are to be followed. In preference to statements on such topics found in the Purāṇas, which are meant for some other purpose and are only in the form of Arthavada and do not convey any import by themselves on these issues. That's what they are. So he is taking this Āryabhaṭīya 15. Before that, he also quotes this term of Biruni on Āryabhaṭīya, etc. So now, Yatha Ganadi Sankhyasu, Manvantareva Parimani, na Vipratikati. Between different Siddhāntas, both they give different numbers. There is really no difference. This is what is argued. Many of them. Between Āryabhaṭīya, Āryabhaṭīya, and Āryabhaṭīya, there is really no difference. Na tadha Kapshakamalo, Bhumya Vyakara Svabhavayosya, those Jyotiḥśāstra Kartruna, Vipratikati. So similarly, in all this, there is no great difference. Purāṇesh Devahi, Tatra Parasparam Vipratikati, Iti Abhipraya, Abhipretya Ākashritati. So he's quoting this fact that Earth is at the center of the world and it is spherical and all that from Sritati. Jyotiḥśāstra Pratipadya, Bhuparimana Akara. So what Jyotiḥśāstra is doing about Bhuparimana Akara, etc. Pratyaksha Anumana Arthapatyadi Pramana Mulatvat. Purāṇānaṁ tat pradarṣanasya Āryabhaṭīyāt Arthavādatvat tat Āryabhaṭīyabhāṣya ayam akshayena sadhyam. And then he quotes Srimati about. So his argument is that Purāṇas are their purpose is something else. Tat pradarṣanasya Āryabhaṭīyāt and they are Arthavāda and there is no Tātparya for them of their own sentences. I will explain what these are. But before that, let me just go to another quotation of Nīlakaṇṭha Somayājī. Again, he is saying Tacha Arthavāda Siddham on another issue that Earth is spherical. Then here also. Tasmat Anuvada eva Anyatha Anupati Siddhasya Golakarattasya Shruto Puchandra Vivayo. So as regards Earth and Moon, if Shruti and other texts talk of Golakaratva, that should be taken only as Anuvada. I will tell you what is Anuvada. Idaresham Parimandalattvasya Shruyamanasya Pramāṇāntara Virodhā Bhāvāt Bhūtāṭavādat. In some other issues about the periodicity of some other distant bodies, stars, etc., we have no other Pramāṇa. So that should be taken as a Bhūtāṭavāda. What is given in Smriti and other Smriti? Not what is given in Jyotiḥśāstra. And finally, Yat Punaha Bhumandalasya Mahaparimanatvam Saptalinga Saptasundari Matvam, Ākārāni Nirodati, Mahaparimanatvam, Eksham, Natmana, Suyamana, that is what is given in Shruti and Smriti. Gunamāgatvam. Where they find credit, what is given in Jyotiḥśāstra, that will be taken as Gunamāgatvam. Atavāgatvam Tesham, Vidhi Visheshatvat, Svārthe Āryabhaṭīya. For they are mainly made to follow the vidhi that is given in this. I'll finish in 1 minute. Vidhi that is given in both Shruti and Smriti, and so Svārthe Āryabhaṭīya, their own meaning, they are not conveying. Teshamati, Purāṇic virodhārena, Gunamāgatvam nirnīyate, ityetad, Aupanishadamati matamena. Even the Vedanti agree with this. Yatha Kaihi Arthavādasya, Vaividyam Anīkriyate, Virodha Gunamādasya, Anuvādo Avadhāyate, Bhutātavādah, Tadhānāt, Arthavādah, Siddhānta 3 times. This goes back to Sureshwaracharya's Vartika Vrindaranya, Bhāṣya of Shankaracharya. So what is this Arthavāda? So this developed in Mīmāmsa Shastra, Jaimini Sutras and Shankaracharya, this Arthavāda concept came in. It was further elaborated by the Bhattas and various other philosophers of Mīmāmsa school. It has also been discussed by Shankara Bhagavad and other scholars in Vedanta such as Sureshwara, Vidyāranya, Mashru Saraswati, and I'm sure scholars here will know. I have looked up this subject only in the last 3-4 weeks. So these 3 types of Arthavāda, one is called Gunavāda. Now what is Arthavāda? Tasya Lakshanaya Prayojanavat Artha Paryavasamatvam Tathahi Arthavāda Vakyamhi Swartha Pratipadane Prayojana Bhavat Vidhi Nishedhayoho Prashasya Nindikatve Lakshanaya Pratipadane. So Vedic statements are various types: Vidhi, Mantra, Namadeya, Nishedha, Arthavāda. Vidhi is the main part, Mantra is used in Yajnas, Namadeya, Nishedha. Arthavādas are in the nature of eulogy or decrying something, and that eulogy or decrying is a part of a particular belief that is to make you do. And for that, these Arthavādas come. They are meaningful only through Lakshana. They are not meaningful through Abhida Shakti. The words as they mean, that meaning is not to be taken. The figurative meaning or the Lakshana meaning, this is in the Alankara Shastra, this what is called Lakshana meaning. So they are meaningful only in the through the Lakshana, and that way they add to the Vidhi. So they are important. So Svadhyaya, Āryabhaṭīya, you have to recite and use all the Vedic mantras, though a large number of them will turn out to be Arthavādas as per this Mīmāmsa analysis. Anyway, so this example given is Āryabhaṭīyabhāṣya. So the Yupa, the Yajna, that rope, what is that? Stump, that pillar. That is Āryabhaṭīya. It is shining like the sun. Obviously, it's not Āryabhaṭīya. So this is Gunavāda, because the words themselves, they give a contradictory meaning here. And something like Agnihi Himasya Bhejajam, if you have Hima, then you apply heat, that will go. So this everybody knows by otherwise by experience. So you don't need the Shruti Vakya as a Pramana for this. So this is only what is called a Anuvāda. Then Indra with Vajram Udayacha. So Indra picked up this Vajra against Viltra. There is no other Pramana either by contradicting it or supporting it. This is what is called Bhutārthavāda. So what Nīlakaṇṭha is saying is, he took up the Siddhāntic astronomical view, and he took up the Purāṇic and the Shruti view, and he tried to say that in Shruti, wherever you go through whatever has been found by your own Purāṇas of the Jyotiḥśāstra, in trying to understand the position, the shape, the nature, the movement of the stars and planets and the earth. So whatever is given in Shruti and Purāṇa, you don't need to declare them. They are a part of a certain vidhi that is there in Shruti, or they are a part of a certain upasana that is part of a Purāṇa. And there they have meaning only not by their own words. They have meaning as Lakshana, figurative meaning only to induce you to do all this. And therefore, you need not worry about that. Of course, the philosophers, Madhusūdana Saraswati, etc., in their tradition, they have a different view that this Bhutārthavāda can still be taken, about which there is no other Pramana declaring it or accepting it, because most of the Uttara-Mīmāṅsa position is Brahman is established only Shastra Yodhitva. There is no other pramana for Brahman. And therefore, this Bhutarthavada is to be taken as a pramana, that should not be taken as Arthavada. Anyway, so this was the tradition which came up to Nīlakaṇṭha, which analyzed the other contradictions in other traditions. Maybe what is given in Purāṇas go back to 5,000-6,000 years, we don't know. But most of the modern scholars put all the Purāṇas around the same time, between 4th century to 6th century and 8th century. And Siddhāntic astronomy, according to modern scholars, are also during the same period. The earlier Siddhantas did not refer to Purāṇas by name, Āryabhaṭīya, Brahmagupta, and their Bhaskara. From even Lalla, I don't know whether he referred to Purāṇa, but from Sripati, Bhaskara onwards, Purāṇas are referred to, and certain contradictions with astronomy are described. They are said to be unreasonable, and they are therefore. But they do not talk about the rest of Purāṇa, what is this thing. This much they say that they are not. But they also adopt a portion of Purāṇa for their Bhuvana Kosha portion. This is what a lot of Western scholars have found to be objectionable. And they put all of them in the southern hemisphere, in which we are not familiar, we were not familiar with that time. But when it comes to the Kerala astronomers, they have even advanced the whole thing. They have used all the traditional epistemological apparatus, Nyaya, Mīmāṅsa, and try to understand. And the Shrutis themselves in India are not like sacred scriptures of the rest of tradition. There are so many interpretations of them, so many arguments from them. So they are not above argument, above sort of understanding them in various levels and ways. And Shruti in relation to astronomy, it is astronomy which is relevant for understanding what is done as per the methodology, accepted methodology of astronomy. And other Shruti Vakyas which are not contradicted, you can understand them. And Shrutis, they are not, it is irrelevant. It is relevant for all those things, for all those Viti, for all those Upasana. That is very relevant. And whatever their injunctions on how we have to live in an eco-friendly way with the world, they are all as relevant as they would be. But they may not be relevant for understanding the shape of the earth in relation to what is given in astronomical texts. If there is nothing in astronomical texts, of course, we accept all of them. And sorry, I've taken much more time than I want to have. Thank you. Sir.
You have quoted one thing where Krutau Bhugolatokti Anuvadaha. Is there any such Shruti that you have?
Purāṇa.
No, that is okay, but Krutau.
I am not aware. The process of saying that other knowledge. Bhagavata, there are 4 5 places. Bhugola appears. Bhumandala also appears. There is one scholar called, again, I'm talking of this Western scholar, Loket Knudsen, who has written a paper about 1 year ago, where he has tried to analyze the Bhagavata commentary. And there he tries to find that in the commentary, they are explaining Bhugola, not as a sphere, but as a Vritakara Bhumandala, in the Bhagavata tradition. But these astronomers of 16th century like Jñānarāja used this word Bhugola as an example to show that there is a Smriti outside of Jyotiḥśāstra also, like Purāṇas, which talk of Bhugola. Shruti, I don't know whether. But I think you like to clarify the meaning of some of these concepts because I have only as a very outsider into this subject.
Anyhow, I will speak later on.
Yes.
Is there any mention in the Siddhāntas of that the stars, the nakshatras, the stars, they are similar to the sun, so there are other suns in other worlds, or mention that there are other worlds outside the planetary system?
And in the kind of Siddhāntas I have seen, that kind of issue perhaps is not discussed, but they will be there in some commentaries and the others I don't know. About star similarity to the sun, maybe the pre-Siddhāntic works will have something. The Siddhāntic works are very tightly structured around the this how to calculate the time, direction, space, and for that they have a cosmological and cosmographical model which will suit them. So all those other issues are rather incidental in the kind of older Siddhāntic tradition. So they may not be talking much about that. But the pre-Siddhāntic tradition would have talked about it, scholars of that.
I want to.
मम एकः प्रश्नः अस्ति तत्र एका संज्ञा अस्ति कालः इति अन्या च समयः इति तत्र उभयोः कः भेदः अस्ति किं लक्षणं कुत्रापि दत्तमस्ति वा न वा अनुभवं संस्कृते वैदुष्यं कृत्वा मया राष्ट्रं कृतं यत् संस्कृतेनैव पृच्छामि
नास्ति काल and samaya. He's asking what is the difference. Okay.
exactly
I am not.
exact
I am not studied. Or I have not read something. If I read something on that also, because I am not a Sanskrit scholar anyway, all this is secondary knowledge. But on this I really don't know. I am not.
No, I just wanted to point out, since this is a general conference where modern scholars are assembled, in all the Siddhāntic astronomy, when they talk about Purāṇas, they simply say Purāṇic. Which Purāṇa they don't say. They would have known 18 Purāṇas or whatever, they don't refer to anything. And even the modern scholars, like Pingree or Plofker, they simply say Purāṇa. Which Purāṇa says, there will be some which says that sun is below Chandra. But not all Purāṇas. For example, Brahmana Purāṇa says, is only, that shloka I was just now pointing out to Sudarshan, Dakshinayana Margasto Yada Sarate Rashmiman Tada Sarva Grahanancha Suryo Adaha Prasarpati. Only when he is in the Dakshinayana Marga, when it is the winter solstice point, Surya is below all other objects, is what it says. So this Ucha Nicha was a technical word, perhaps measured from the pole star. Whereas Brahmana Purāṇa has the concept of Shishimara and Dhruva also in some ancient time. Whereas the other Puranas, they are attached to the meaning of Ucha Nicha, not as azimuth. Modern way, if I see it, this Ucha Nicha is an azimuth point, because azimuth is going to be, say, suppose from Kurukshetra in the northern hemisphere, winter solstice will go 108 degrees, whereas all other objects will be at some other azimuth. So they might have thought it like that. So to combine all of this into one basket and then say, the later Puranas might have omitted this shloka, because Brahmana Purāṇa is the shortest and it seems to be nearest to the Vedas, whereas the others are not so, the fidelity is not maintained. So I appeal to the modern astronomers who are working on this critical analysis of history of astronomy in India to specify the Purāṇa, because there is no single critical edition of a Purāṇa. Not for any Purāṇa, I know there is a critical edition. For Vishnu Purāṇa, there is a critical edition produced from the Baroda, but that again contains a lot of wrong information when it comes to numbers and these things. And hence it's an appeal I like to make here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Just there's no comment on what you said, it's perfectly valid. Then modern scholars, the ones I quoted, they are putting Puranas together. Pingree has a version where he thinks what Kirtan analyzed in 1920s and 1930s. And the such then was something called the Ur Purana, the original Purana from which everything comes. So he has summarized what Kirtan has said. And if you see that paper, he has even referred to Dhruva in the Shishimara constellation in that thing. And Kirtan has referred, which Pingree has referred to. So this is called Ur Purana. For him, there is no other Purana. And Pingree even refused to see that this Vaidana Siddhanta, which he found in Vishnu Dharmottara Purana, and which he thought was the vehicle through which Greco-Babylonian astronomy came to India. even refused to see that the first half of that Vishnu Purana had a complete Purāṇic version of cosmology and cosmography. So they are not going to do any of these things. If these things have to be done, Indian scholars will have much more greater understanding, faith in these scriptures. They think of us as being bound to these scriptures. We don't seem to be bound to anything at all at these modern Indians. So if we could use all our critical scholarship in producing critical editions of Purāṇas analysis, and they have been analyzed by all those Virodha Parihara people in a very difficult time, in the time of Mughal rule and British rule. They were only replying to critics. They were really not looking into, they didn't know what Nīlakaṇṭha had said or what the original versions of what most people had said. That was a difficult time of Sanskrit scholarship in India. Today, it's not a difficult time, but it's a time where we have ignored Sanskrit scholarship. If we could take it seriously, modern scholars as well as traditional scholars, I am sure we will be able to write much more meaningful versions of our ancient astronomical tradition in the Purāṇic and the Vedic corpus also. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Srinivas-ji, for sharing the historian perspective of cosmology and cosmography. We love that you gave a very detailed understanding on the Indian epistemology, the Anuman Shabda and Pratyaksha, also giving the hierarchy of the same, the research principle of validation, pariksha, arthavad, and ideology. We appreciate the whole historiographical presentation based upon the arguments and evidences given by Āryabhaṭīya, Brahmagupta-ji, Lalacharya-ji, Bhaskaracharya-ji, Narasimha Acharya, Parmeswar, Nīlakaṇṭha Somayājī. So what was amusing most to me was the word Vidusha used for scholars. So that was something which was amazing to me. Thank you so much.